So I've been asked today to talk about trust and rapport. Of course, what do those words mean for leadership? For me, rapport, I suppose, means it's actually when you do get somebody's trust, when you create a bond. It's when you're talking under the level, with them rather than at them. And the reason I'm so fascinated with this subject is because that was actually my job for the last 25 years. When I started off interviewing people, I had no idea what it was to create this really quick bond. And I was in the position of leadership because actually it was my show. If I screwed up, I was fired. I was working under a lot of pressure, and without you knowing or whatever, it cost millions of pounds to get those cameras to LA or wherever I had to go to, so no pressure there. So I had to quickly learn what it is to make a very fast and dirty connection to someone so that they would completely trust me, because that made a great show. And that was my sale. I always thought in the beginning that when I was interviewing people, what was wrong with them? I thought, was everybody neurotic? Because whoever I interviewed, they were cowering in the corner, terrified of me. And I would think, what? I'm adorable. I don't understand. I'm a really charming human being. What's wrong with this person? And gradually, when I started to deconstruct that interview, I could see that I was totally in the frame of mind to make this interview work. I wasn't focusing on them at all. It was just like the front of a Mercedes was coming at them. There was no connection in my eyes. And actually, I could hear under my words, when I start to freeze up, I start to get very aggressive. And then I start to stumble on my words. So I really had to learn what it was that made an interview work very quickly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you some of my successes first. And then later on, when I feel you trust me and love me, I'm going to show you when I really, really blew it and felt disgusting for weeks. So what this has to do with you is that I think in your performance is that and certainly what we've lost in this economic crisis is that we've lost trust in our leaders. This teaching of rapport can't be, I can't give you a PowerPoint because, that'll put you in a coma. And I can't give you a press pack. But I'm just going to give you a little taster of what's involved. Because we are born with this thing. We used rapport when we were kids. You knew who was the most popular. You knew the guy you had to make friends with. You knew who the it girl was, and you could read them. And then somehow, we were talking about this before, as we turn into adults, we get more and more narrow in our view, and we just need to sell, we need to do business, we need to, and our lenses are this small. We really need to widen them out and go, hey, this quiet guy, he's actually going to help my company. I got to work him. Or I meet somebody when I'm interviewing, I think, I can't stand you, but if I work it and work it, I see where he's coming from, and I can bring out the best in him. Or when I blow it, the worst. This is way down the line when I learned you really have to suss out what that person wants and then adjust your dials. This doesn't mean you fake it. You go on these courses, people say, yeah, I'm tough. I know what I'm doing. I'm a winner. If you're not a winner, don't play that card. If you're not funny, who's the guy who introduced me? Don't play that card. It's a muscle that you can develop. We didn't come into the world knowing calculus or how to play tennis. This is actually a muscle, this thing called rapport, or reading each other under the radar. And you know what I'm talking about. You probably do it with your kids or when you picked up your wife or not your wife. It's this thing, knowing what's going on under the words, so that finally you get that rhythm going. You know exactly when you've hit that. Otherwise, it's you playing your pre-recorded tape and their pre-recorded tape, or you're debating, or you're eventually, we were talking about going to lock swords. This isn't about winning. This is about really playing jazz together. And once you're playing jazz, you're free-falling, the way I sort of am with you. I don't know what I'm going to say next. I may forget everything. I may leave. I don't know where I'm going. Once you're open to that, then you can sell them anything. Even insurance. So basically, we're talking about what Obama does naturally. I had to learn it the hard way. He makes, even if he's talking to a plumber, or if he's talking about a head of state, this guy reads what this guy needs and makes him feel like he's the most important person on earth. So this is something some of you probably have, and I'm wasting my time up here. But I'm just going to deconstruct it a little bit of some of the things you'll have to consider when you do create this rapport. I'm sorry, but it's like Swan Lake. You can't just go out and do it. You actually have to go to the bar and do the exercises. You might not have time, but I'm just going to tell you a little bit about what's involved. You might not want to do Swan Lake. It would be very ugly. So it's just 4 things, okay? Just 4 things I'm going to talk about today, and you probably know this anyway. The first one is when you come in a room, when you're going to do a sale, when you're going to talk to your clients, when you're going to talk to your coworkers or your stakeholders, you have to know what state you're in, right? Because as a comedian, I have to know when I've died. If you know before I do, I am really dead. The next thing is self-management, because as a leader, I'm sorry, it's your job to control the emotions in that room. I'm sorry, but it goes with the job. Because if you as a manager come in there, or a leader, and you're stressed or you're aggressive, believe me, it passes through that company like a virus. You know, we're biologically tuned to each other, so if I'm in a bad mood, you're going to get in a bad mood. The next thing I'm going to talk about is social awareness, which means reading the room. Again, I said we did this in the playground. What's going on in here? Okay, who's bored? Who isn't bored? Who's stressed? What's going on with my team? Because it's better you know. You know, if one guy looks really unhappy, it's better you know, is this because his wife left him, or is this because he doesn't like working here? Because if you don't check it out, he's leaving the company. And you know how much it costs to get more talent in there. So that's your job, sussing out who looks unhappy, who needs to be connected to. And the last thing is social management, which means, as a leader again, you have to know which part to play, okay? This isn't, again, in a workshop, you know, stand like this and be impressive and, you know, be the leader. I hope I made it clear how my successes and failures might apply to you as leaders and communicators. Anybody want to say? Just shake your heads. So I know for the next time. Okay, thank you very much. Thanks for listening. Thank you.